Everyone, this is Cam, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. I had mentioned wanting to do this. I wanted to have a discussion with my girlfriend about just kind of the things that we've been talking about since I came out. So she is in this
Hello,
discussion with me. So introduce yourself, please.
I'm Lex. Hi, YouTube.
Um, so I apologize in advance for the blurriness, kind of. We are in completely different countries. So obviously I'm the one hosting this end. Yeah, I was kind of picky about the quality, but I can only do so much. So to start off, I guess I'll basically say it. I don't really, I mean, obviously I guess I officially kind of came out recently, but I don't really feel like it was ever like, I mean, I discussed this with you when we first met, basically. So
Yeah, I think you discussed more about being quite genderqueer and about some dysphoria that you experienced, mostly. And, honestly, I've known people in similar situations who I guess had no plans to come out to transition. So it just a little bit of a small surprise.
right. So yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know exactly how long it's been now. I guess it's been a few weeks. It was after New Year, right? It was after New Year.
I don't think so. I feel like we've been researching stuff for a lot longer.
Really?
Yeah.
I was gone like all of December, basically, for work. Um, but anyway, whenever it was that I officially like told you, like, I obviously I told you I was so stressed out about just the thought of even mentioning it. I have like issues with my uh, TMJ, and this whole side of my head was just in pain.
I remember.
Like my teeth were killing me, my ear was hurting, my head was like, and as soon as I told you and we talked about it, it stopped. um,
No worries.
yeah, no worries. So she's been totally supportive from the get-go. Not to say that there haven't been concerns, not to say that there aren't concerns, and that there will continue to be concerns, obviously. There have been, and there will be. But so basically, how did you feel, I guess, when I told you?
Well, I wasn't very surprised.
Well, yeah, we established that.
First thing, I wasn't very surprised. Um, I thought about the implications of what you were saying and thought about a lot of other people I've known who have gone through similar things. And yeah, I started to realize the difference between when a friend tells you something like that and when your partner tells you something like that. However, like I just wanted to be as supportive as I could be. Um, so I kind of just immersed myself into research along with you.
Yeah, you researched like crazy. I mean, obviously, like I don't have like a ton of research into right now because I've been researching for like 8 years consistently, more or less. Not that, there's always more stuff to find out and more people to be able to like follow and contact for information and things like that. But yeah, I was pretty impressed about pretty much every day when I got home from work and we talked, or when I was even at work, or when I woke up in the morning. Obviously, because the time zone between us, the difference is huge.
Right.
You
Night
had
is
something
day and day
new.
is night.
You had something new that you found out. Basically, I guess, what are the biggest things that like you're concerned about regarding my transition?
I guess I kind of I'm concerned with the fact that you're in Japan and I'm in America. And I know I've expressed this to you very clearly that I have this concern. The fact that your plan is to transition there, and I feel,
Possible. Possible.
if
It
possible,
might not be possible.
um, and I feel a bit as if, um, while I know you completely own this transition, I feel as if we're both sort of going through a transition. So I very much feel strongly about us sort of going through it together and me being able to experience the changes that you go through and see them and hear them and feel them and smell them and everything. So sometimes I'm a little bit concerned that, I'm going to feel uncomfortable when one person dropped me off at the airport and another person shows up at my door after a year in Japan. Um,
Yeah, which is completely understandable. So yeah, and I mean, as far as for me, obviously, I would prefer. I mean, I would prefer to have your support, like with you being like physically with me during
and that's what
everything.
I
But
want.
you know, obviously, like I don't really have any support systems here. I mean,
Right.
not to say that like my hosts aren't supportive and things like that because they are, but I can't really see being out to
Because they
anybody
don't know.
a realistic possibility. Yeah, they don't know, so I mean, nobody can be supportive in that way if they don't.
Right.
Um, so yeah. Um, as far as I guess potential physical changes, I mean, obviously we've already discussed like any what I have what plans I have as in regards to like what I would actually do for my transition.
Mhm.
So I guess how do you feel about obviously the physical change? That
The physical changes, honestly, are the least of my concern in terms of stuff that might worry me as a person or as a lesbian or any of that. I mean, I know that people will have comments to me like, "Oh, are you still a lesbian?" And of course, the answer to that will be yes. I'm a lesbian with a boyfriend. um, but the point is that you're the person that I love, and I know I said this to you before. When I look into your eyes, I'll be looking into the same eyes, and eyes are the window to the soul. So it's gonna be the same soul that I fell in love with, looking back at me. And quite frankly, I'm aside from facial hair, which I'm definitely not excited for, uh, and I'm not excited for um, hair in a few other choice places that I could name or not. Um, there are some things that I'm actually surprisingly excited about, which I did not think I was going to be excited about at all.
so um,
Um,
again, going back to like your own identity. A lot of people are worried about their own identity um, being threatened or being uh, just no longer actually recognized by people because they feel like maybe their relationship dynamic is changing. So why um, do you not feel that?
I do feel that a little bit because I feel, and I don't mean to insult anyone, but I feel like there are many people in the queer community who have like these specifications as to like who fits in and who doesn't, and for different reasons, and why not. And I've been a part of the gay, lesbian, queer community since I was 13 years old, and it has been a support system for me and sort of like a second family. Um, so, as I said, not to insult anybody, but there are some catty people in, you know, out there who will
That's
just
true.
decide, hey, you're not a part of our group anymore, you know? And that scares me a little bit. I'll be honest, that does scare me a little bit. Um, and I don't want that to happen, but I'm not going to give my identity up. I'm not going to stop identifying as what I am. And I think the people who know me best have already sort of confirmed the fact that, oh, okay, Cam came out as trans, so you're going to be with a guy, and but you're still a lesbian, you know that, right? And people have said that to me, and those are the people that know me, and I guess those are the people that matter, is
True.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I've had people laugh at me, ha ha ha, like you've always been a lesbian. You're never not going to be a lesbian. And on one hand, they find it a little hard to like wrap their heads around because I'm never not going to be a lesbian, but my plan is to be with you, and you're never going to be a woman.
Right.
So there's that.
As far as the things about my personality, and I guess your personality too, that already, I guess put not, strain to some extent or another on our dynamic. What do you worry about in regards to that possibly changing or maybe getting worse in some ways? What are you anticipating?
Um, well, I'm hoping for a happier you on T, but I am aware of the possibility that you might just become more introverted and less communicative than you are now, which is kind of itty bitty. And and sometimes I worry that you'll stop talking to me, even to the extent that you don't talk to me now. Uh, and you know, you get snappy sometimes, and I worry about the effects of tea on certain patience issues that you have. Um, okay. What was the question again?
What in what ways are you like kind of in what ways are you concerned about like transitioning and I guess like potential effects of hormones? Maybe not changing my personality because they're not going to change my personality, but maybe uh, like kind of accentuating some of my traits that already exist that maybe don't necessarily work that well for us.
Okay, well, let me just say really quickly that physically, when I met you, I met a physical woman, and as a lesbian, I was very attracted to you. But I've never been in a relationship with a woman mentally. Because even though in my head I was thinking woman, especially at first, you never had the mentality of a woman. So when I think back now, I think to myself, since the beginning of this relationship, you've never been dating a woman to make a difference, that much so. And so I don't expect your personality per se to change that drastically. Um, if anything, I'm hoping for someone who's easier going and a bit happier, just because of what's changing. I'm aware of anger issues, patience issues. I've done the research. I mean, all the things that can be
Do you think I
experienced.
have anger issues now?
Sometimes you're very short patient, you know.
Well,
Very,
I have no patience. We know this.
you
I
have
had
no
patience when I
patience.
lived in Georgia, but
You can be very short-tempered, and sometimes you can get a little nasty.
okay. I mean, I know that I'm not the nicest
Just
person.
saying.
Huh?
But, you know, when you get that way, I tell you, and usually you're pretty good about apologizing and
Yeah, I've matured. I've matured. I didn't used to do that.
adjusting that behavior.
Like, I mean, as you said that I've never had the mentality of a woman, and that is part of why I've always had such bad luck with relationships with women who have relationships with women, because I can never, ever, ever um, provide what they were looking for in a partner. Uh, as far as, I mean, as far as, I don't know, the way I guess people generally expect a woman to be, and the kinds of, the way the brain functions and all of that sort of stuff. And I was constantly like being scolded and getting in trouble for not being enough of a female, for being too much of a guy, or things like that. And I'm like, it's not like I ever hid my personality. Like,
No.
I don't know if people expected something to change or what, but that's always been an issue for me. So the fact that it's not an issue now has been a huge surprise.
You've actually overestimated from the beginning of our relationship just how mean and cold-hearted you were, and or are, because I didn't find you to be as cold-hearted as you originally described yourself. Maybe you just liked me a lot. I don't know. But I will say that, you know, as a lesbian, which I have always been, and I have
Which I've
always,
never identified as, by the way.
which I wasn't aware of when I was calling you my girlfriend and introducing you to all these big people in my family. You know, I was like, because I should also mention that for me, even though I've only ever dated women, I'm a little bit gender fluid myself.
Right?
And I think
It's a
that that maybe
huge
made a
positive
difference
factor.
in the way I understood you.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely think that that has been a really positive factor for us. That like like non-normative, like non-cis normativity as far as gender goes is something that you like understand and have some like degree of experience with being yourself and things like that. I
right.
think it makes a huge difference because it's really hard for somebody to understand a concept that they've never like lived or had to
That's what I'm
grasp.
talking about.
It's something that's really, I think it's really difficult to grasp if it's not something that's already like naturally within you. Like really, I mean, I don't expect anybody to understand ever. Um, it would be great if everybody could understand, but I don't expect anybody to be able to. You know, the brain has a hard time understanding things that it's the brain and the that it's never experienced, and the brain cannot generally conceive of things that it's never experienced through some sense or another.
Right.
And of course, one's gender is something that is internally experienced. So
I think that there has always been sort of an equal kind of balance between no, neither gender really wins out completely with me because I've always felt sort of the weight of a 50-50 gender distribution
right,
um, in terms of male and female anyway. Um, so yeah, I think that helped a lot. And I think it helps me understand a little bit more someone who was presenting as physically a, a woman who was thinking like a man, because it's not like that's never happened to me in my own head before.
So, um, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that we should get into right now?
I have very, very, very much felt strongly about being a part of your transition and felt that as your partner, even though there has not been any fairness for you concerning this issue your whole life, why do I get any consideration or fairness just walking into your life and, you know, with this huge thing that's going to happen? Um, but I do sometimes feel like it's really important for our relationship for me to be present while all these changes are taking place and me to see the person I love changing and being there. And I think that that's my only other worry is that that's not going to happen and somehow it'll affect us. That's really my only other worry. Because I know I can deal with things that are going to come up in terms of transition. Aside from that, but I might not deal as well if I'm not able to experience things with you. I think that that's, for me, my major concern. But at the same time, I don't think it's fair for me to ask you to wait because I understand that for every day that you wake up and you're not able to physically be who you are mentally, that really just, is hard for you. Harder than I can imagine because I don't have dysphoria. Despite being gender fluid, I don't experience dysphoria. Say this as well, like one last thing is that as supportive as I can be, I know that I falter. And
Well, of
I'll
course. I
seem
mean, you know,
so supportive one day, and the next day I'll call you and say, "Oh, I was crying because I'm gonna lose the person I fell in love with." And so, I mean, it does go back and forth,
yeah, which
and
is
I don't
completely
always
normal.
feel the same way.
But
And the dynamic,
and I now I want to say one last thing. A lot of people, I think, are concerned about their relationships when one person is transitioning, uh, and we both have concerns. We both have things that we think worry about happening. We both have discussed the fact that we, you know,
undoubtedly,
almost expect, even like we have, despite the fact that we have like we feel confident in our relationship, we have this expectation in the back of our minds that relationships just don't work out. But we talk about all of it, which is, for me, I mean, it's the first time that I've ever talked openly about things in a relationship. And I think that makes a huge difference because we're not hiding from each other any sort of concerns or worries or reservations that we might have. And I think
right?
that that makes a huge difference. I think holding it in,
Yeah,
that you're like worried, oh my god, like what if something happens and we end up breaking up because of this or that, and you just keep it in. I think that that is makes it a lot less likely that things will work out. So
and I've expressed to you the things I felt most strongly about, and when I do start feeling on shaky ground concerning what I'm thinking about this whole process, I bring it to you and I'm honest with you, and that seems to work every time. And you appreciate my honesty, and I appreciate you appreciating it.
So, uh, so
So
yeah,
communication is important.
yeah, communication is important. I'm still trying to get
It
better at
is.
it. So, with that, we will end this for now. Thank you guys for watching, whoever ends up
Yeah,
watching
thanks a lot.
this. Um, and
And if you have questions,
yeah, and if anybody ever has any questions about anything, I mean, please do not hesitate. Do not
bounce
hesitate.
stuff off of us
Yeah,
because, you might even bring some stuff up that we haven't thought of.
yeah.
And then
It's all
we'll have
about it's
more
all
things.
about exchanging ideas. Exchange. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're open to pretty much anything. If there's something that we're uncomfortable with, we just won't answer. But yeah, feel free to ask anything. Feel free to comment about
Definitely.
anything. Um,
And I've noticed a serious shortage of specifically lesbians dating FTM, guys that are transitioning, especially on YouTube. So bring on the lesbians
yeah,
by
yeah,
all means,
yeah,
because I know that you're not getting all the questions that you have answered by YouTube because I've looked and I've looked and I've looked.
yeah.
And so,
And
despite
if
this,
there is anybody else out there who is going through a transition in a long distance relationship of any orientation, of any kind, uh, like drop a link or something, because we'd be interested in hearing about how you deal with that. Yeah, if anybody has anything that they think that we might be interested in, yeah, share it, please. So with that, we will end this here for real this time. So
right,
once again, thank you. Take care.
very much.
And if you're interested in what either one of us has to say about anything else, feel free to subscribe. We're both on Tumblr. So yeah, bye.
Take care.